um, disc golf putters. Just kind of giving you a rundown of what I've used over the years and kind of what I've cycled through. I've tried a lot of different ones at this point, and I may still not be in my final putter choice, forever. But several years ago, started with the McPro Aviars. That was kind of the first putter where when I was trying to decide what to get started with, and I liked Paul Macbeth, and the Aviar seemed like a decent choice. Thing I don't care for as much is there's no bead really on this. That little thing that goes around, kind of like a little ridge, gives you a nice place to rest your pointer and then pop your finger off of when you're putting. And I feel like it kind of helps me personally keep the nose up a little bit better on my putt, because obviously, unless you're Ricky, or there's a few guys that kind of putt more nose down, but generally you want to be nose up unless you know how to make that other technique work. But the story of those, I ended up putting with those for a while, and then I was putting in the wintertime with them once, and I had one of them crack on me, and I didn't realize it was because it was stiff plastic. And then I bought another one, and basically the same thing happened. And then because I thought, oh, it's a dud or something, so I got another one, same thing, and then looked that up. It's like, oh yeah, it's because it's stiff plastic, so it'll crack more easily. So that at some point led me to get the McPro Aviar-x, which this is like a very soft putter, where of course the Aviar is very stiff. So I still use this like just for putting practice. I don't typically use it as my putter, but it's actually, it's a great disc. But anyway, at some point, of course, I became like a Ricky fan, so I got into using, this was my first dagger of him. It's the 2016, says world champion on there. I ended up buying a couple more just for practice putters, because I thought at one point that was going to be my putter of choice, and it kind of has been off and on. The thing that I've struggled with, I do like that it has a nice bead on it, but the thing that I've struggled with is sometimes they get a little floaty in the wind. If it's like headwind putts, especially, you're probably going to be potential more for lifting and having problems. So eventually, I kind of came and went with that. I ended up getting this Do It for the Slow Mez. It's a Gateway Wizard Joe Mez disc, signed by Bradley Williams, who I met at Fox Run, which was really cool a few years ago. But this is a little more of a flexible, more flexible plastic. I think it's made from hemp, actually. And it still has a great feel, but I think this is like a 173. I think what I've learned over time is that I need something a little bit heavier, just because maybe it's my style of putt or something, but I've found that sometimes it's just like I don't have enough of a just solid delivery into the basket, like, for lack of better explanation. But it's like maybe it's a little too unwieldy or floppy sometimes, and I'm not like, I almost think I tend to do better with a little bit of hyzer, and like this is not as stable. So I don't know, that's probably not explaining it very well, but that's kind of my issues I've had, I think, with this. Maybe just being a little too on the light side. But and then I've more recently, it switched to the Simon Line Pixel, which I actually really like. I love the look of this and the feel overall. It basically has kind of like a micro bead, so like very, very subtle bead on it. But what I found from using it, I was like, oh, maybe I can put more like Simon, or be more like his kind of, he's like the nose up floaty putt master basically. But I just never, I'm not as much of a spinny putter, more of a push putt, hybrid push putter. So I'm trying to get more spin and pop off of it. But so that one I kind of had mixed results with too. And I was like, well, it's a 173 also. So that kind of led me into like, oh, well, if I'm sometimes, maybe this was the problem too with the Wizard, sometimes pulling it a little too much right and just not having a consistent like into the basket, where if it's a little more stable, maybe I can achieve that, or even slight hyzering it into the basket. So that one didn't quite fit the bill for me, even though it's a decent putter. And if that's what you like, but I saw an ad for the new Calvin Aviar, which I recently got, which this had, you know, he described it like, oh, it's a nice big bead, fits good for bigger hands, all that, and stiff plastic, which I tend to kind of like anyway. So it's the KC Pro, which I had never owned a KC Pro either. So I got this at the Disc Mart local here, and I was like, okay. And so far, it's been pretty good. It's a 175. I was like, I want to step up the weight a little bit and see if that helps. And with the bead, you know, I get that nice pop off the forefinger. So anyway, that's a little rundown on my putters. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm enjoying using this, and I may have found the putter that I need. But yeah, it's been a journey, and it will probably still continue though, just because that's how it is. And like, once you get bit by the disc golf bug, then you just kind of want to keep buying discs. So it's sort of a blessing and a curse. But anyway, hope this was maybe somewhat interesting or informative. I might make more of these kinds of things and show other parts of my bag maybe, or whatever. But anyway, hope some of that was interesting.